Welcome to Oral Boards Made Easy Plus, the updated and revised version of Oral Boards Made Easy. I am sure you are familiar with the phrase, don't mess with success. I knew that I needed to stay true to that phrase as I did this update because for years now, I have been hearing over and over again from promotion candidates like you how Oral Boards Made Easy brought them the success they were seeking. So to ensure that success did not get messed with, I kept the original Oral Boards Made Easy course as the heart of this Plus version. As a matter of fact, the original course is embedded in its entirety in the Plus version. The Plus represents updated references applicable to the original course, suggestions on how each module relates to oral assessment exercises and not just oral boards, and specific answer demonstrations for lieutenant and captain candidates. Depending on the package you selected, you may also be receiving additional video questions, written question banks, and assessment center questions and demos for hot calls. And let's not forget the point earner materials as well as detailed scenario questions in the Platinum package. At the end of this module, you will see this module's update and assessment center application info. You can expect to see this type of update and assessment center application component after each of the course's original learning modules. Let's now continue on with Module 1. If you are testing for a law enforcement promotion to the supervisory ranks of corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, or captain, and an oral board, interview, or oral assessment is part of your process, you are in the right place. In a few minutes, you will see demonstrations on how I would respond to a tell us about yourself, critical incident, and closing statement if asked of me at an oral board. But before that, let me welcome you to Module 1 of the Oral Boards Made Easy for Police Promotion video series and congratulate you on taking a very positive step to be sure you are at your best for your police promotion oral board. If you are like me, your promotion is very important to you, and the opportunities for promotion are infrequent, making it all the more important that you be at your best this time around. In many cases, the timing of your promotion is also important. The sooner you achieve each promotion, the sooner you will be eligible for the next promotion opportunity. You are viewing the first module of the Oral Boards Made Easy for Police Promotion video series. This program is unique and based on observation and risks that I took in my career in seeking to achieve my promotions. By me absorbing that risk when I was testing and seeing positive results from those risks, I have decreased the risk for you. One of my early observations when studying for my sergeant oral board was that there exists common elements in many oral board critical incident or situational questions. The risk that I took was to incorporate these newly discovered common elements into my study procedure. In other words, I was not just studying policies and procedures for my sergeant oral board, I was also applying the common steps that I identified as part of my preparation plan. Lo and behold, I achieved the top oral board score and was promoted in the #1 position on the sergeant list in front of over 200 original competitors. As for the easy part of Oral Boards Made Easy, by studying common steps rather than every possible type of situation, I was able to make my answers easy to remember. My lieutenant's test followed about 5 years later. By this time, I had started perfecting my oral boards process and extending it to other categories of questions rather than just incidents and situations. Once again, I was promoted in the #1 position among the 40 competitors for promotion. My process, which is now called Oral Boards Made Easy, has been under constant refinement and improvement ever since. I applied what I was developing on my next 2 promotion opportunities, one for captain with an oral board and 18 competitors, and the next for assistant chief with an assessment center and 12 competitors. And in both cases, I was promoted in the #1 position. That's right, many of the strategies in Oral Boards Made Easy for police promotion can be applied at assessment centers as well. What started as a simple observation and a bit of preparation risk-taking ultimately resulted in me holding the distinction of being the only member in the history of the 400-plus sworn Hartford, Connecticut Police Department to ever be promoted in the #1 position to sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and assistant chief after competitive testing. And before you start thinking that I went into this with any sort of an oral board performance edge, know this. Prior to becoming a police officer, I had been a B student in college, and I had a phobia of public speaking. Now that I am no longer competing in oral boards and assessment centers, my lessons learned are now made available to promotion candidates like you. Before I do the answer demonstrations, let me give you an overview of this program so that you can see how it has been designed with you and your oral board process in mind, despite the wide variety of oral board processes that are conducted. This program has these major elements: a process for you to build your customized success plan, specific tips, otherwise known as point earners, that can help you rise above the pack, a strategy for building a response to help sell yourself to the panel, to include a powerful closing, an overview, questions, and model answers for interviews, experiential questions, knowledge questions, and rapid-fire oral board processes. And then the core of the Oral Boards Made Easy program, acronyms that help you give complete responses for topics such as ethics, leadership, delegation, community policing, planning and organizing, discipline, performance counseling, resolving conflicts, and critical incident or situational questions. You will see me demonstrate answers for each of these areas, and you will have multiple rounds of questions presented to you for you to practice what you are learning. So, let's start. In this first module, I will demonstrate my responses to the very commonly asked, "Tell us about yourself," as though I were testing for sergeant. You will see a more detailed version of this demonstration for the captain rank further on in the program. The second demonstration you will see in this module will be for critical incident or situation questions. In this case, I will demonstrate a solid answer without regard for what the question is. Can you imagine being able to answer nearly any situational question, regardless of what situation they present to you, merely by knowing an acronym? And lastly, I will give a closing statement demonstration that uses a structure that is positive, shows appreciation, and highlights my readiness for promotion. So, here it goes. I attended a state college immediately after high school and graduated after 2 years with an associate's degree in business administration. I was then accepted at a private university where I studied business marketing, ultimately earning a Bachelor's of Science degree in that field. Throughout my 4 years of college, I was employed as a security officer at a government contractor that was making Air Force jets. The sensitive nature of that work required me to achieve and maintain a United States government secret clearance. Shortly after graduation from the university, I was hired by a large international corporation to serve as a territory manager in New York City. While the work was challenging, it did not hold the fulfillment that I had been seeking, and it became clear that the business world was not the right fit for me. I'm from a law enforcement family. My father, as well as uncles and cousins of both sides of my family, have served or are currently serving as police officers. It became clear that police work was my true calling, and I pursued and achieved the position with the Hartford Police Department. My first 5 years were served in the patrol division, serving as a footbeat officer in high-crime neighborhoods, a relief officer throughout the city, and a cruiser officer downtown. During this time, I responded to an incident in which a mentally disturbed, knife-wielding man was threatening his family. My partner and I successfully prevented the family from being harmed and were formally recognized by our department for our actions. Shortly thereafter, I was handpicked by my sergeant to serve in a proactive 2-officer directed patrol unit. Seeking to take on greater responsibilities and challenges, I requested and received an assignment from the patrol division to our department's crime suppression unit. This assignment required even greater proactive police work, focused on the deterrence of street-level crimes, street gang activity, and street-level narcotic sales. While in this assignment, I received specialized training in the area of narcotics investigations, as well as having had the opportunity to attend the prestigious Connecticut State's Attorney Legal Training course, focusing on the latest case law and their application to police practices. It was during this time that I suggested to my supervisor a motor vehicle enforcement strategy to bring about a reduction in drive-by shootings, something that was adopted and achieved desired results. At this time, I am currently serving in the crime suppression unit. In order to prepare myself for the position of sergeant, I sought out paid for, and attended on my own time a 14-week program to refine my leadership and communication skills. This program sharpened my public speaking proficiency while also providing me with important insight into effective leadership communication. I believe it is a combination of my business education and experiences which have provided me with an understanding of management practices, my diverse police experiences attained from my patrol assignment, as well as serving as a member of the Proactive Crime Suppression Unit, and my commitment to ongoing self-development as evidenced by my pursuit of leadership and communication training that have well prepared me to serve at the rank of sergeant, and I am very eager to do so. As you may have noticed, I applied a chronological structure to my response. This was done because I am telling a story. Stories that are chronological are easier to follow and tend to put achievements and growth in perspective. When I demonstrated this further along in the program, I will show you a process to simplify your recall of this information so that it sounds conversational and so that you are less likely to leave out important details. Now, onto the situational model that is covered in full in a later part of the program. For handling critical incidents or situations, I have found that my SERGEANT acronym covers most, if not all, of the key elements in a response, at least in a general sense. Ideally, you will be applying your law enforcement knowledge to this acronym so that you are providing the panel with a really strong response. But what if you do not know the answer to the question? Well, watch below, and you will see how I give a critical incident response without even knowing the question. As a lieutenant, the first thing that I would do is become immediately involved in this situation by showing up. While en route to the location, I would be evaluating the information being provided from the officers already on scene. If a sergeant has yet to be dispatched, I will contact dispatch and have one respond. If this situation requires radio silence, that direction would be given. My objective while en route is to obtain as much information as possible before arriving on the scene. I will notify dispatch once I have arrived on scene and announce that I have taken command of this operation. I will then conduct a first-hand visual observation of the scene while seeking additional information from the first officer who arrived. With this information considered, I will notify dispatch of the resources that are required. If appropriate, I will also provide instructions on the routes that should be taken by those resources as well as the desired staging point. While communicating with dispatch, I will instruct the dispatcher to notify my captain of the situation and inform the captain that once the situation is stabilized, I will contact him directly with updates. Next, I will turn my attention to the victims or potential victims. If anyone has been harmed in this incident, I will assure that they are receiving the appropriate level of care dictated by their injuries. If anybody is at risk of being harmed, I will assure that the sergeant is directing his or her resources to mitigate that harm. Once victims or potential victims have been addressed, my next concern will be the containment of this incident. I will assure that the sergeant has directed resources to protect the scene from contamination, while assuring that the situation is not allowed to get any larger. It is important that investigative integrity and public safety are both addressed at this stage. Once contained, a methodical application of our investigative process will commence. I will obtain responsibility for this investigation unless relieved by my captain or until the investigation is transferred to the investigative division commander. Should this investigation remain with me, I will evaluate the course of action that the sergeant is suggesting and, if appropriate, approve his or her course of action. If I see a deficiency in that recommended approach, I will intervene to assure an effective investigation. Once the investigation has concluded, I will instruct the sergeant to assure that all officers on scene submit a report for the sergeant to evaluate for completeness and accuracy. I will direct the sergeant to complete a report on all activities conducted, and I will complete my own report that covers the actions that I took from beginning to end. Within a reasonable period of time, I will call for a debriefing meeting that involves the key parties for the purpose of evaluating and improving our response to these types of incidents. I will have the sergeant accompany me to this meeting and serve as the recorder. The sergeant will then be directed to prepare an after-action report based upon this meeting and to submit it to me for review prior to me sending it forward to my captain. And that is how I would handle this incident at the rank of lieutenant. What was the incident? It could have been anything. This strategy allows for a generic, complete response. Without knowing this type of strategy, you will be faced with two options if presented with an incident for which you do not recall the answer. Option 1 would be to make something up, while option 2 would be to pass on the question altogether without even giving a reply. Imagine never having to have that concern again, because you will have an answer. When I cover this module later in the program, I will go into depth on each of the 8 steps in the S.E.G.R.E.A.N.T acronym so that you are well versed on its application. Commonly, when your oral panel comes to an end, you will be given an opportunity to make a brief closing remark. Too many candidates do not take this seriously, which is very unfortunate. You see, the concept of recency in the study of communication patterns shows that the words that are spoken last in an exchange are often the words that are most remembered. For this reason, your closing statement should be structured for maximum impact. The format that I recommend shows appreciation for the panel, a summary statement on candidate qualifications, and an eagerness to serve. Here is how I put all of that together if I were testing for the rank of captain, and if the panel of assessors was from outside of my police department. First, I would like to thank the panel members for taking time out of their busy schedules to assist our department with this important process. I believe that my strong understanding of management practices stemming from my business degree and experience, my accomplishments in diverse police assignments, from patrol to crime suppression to the police academy and bomb squad, and my ongoing commitment to the professional development of department personnel through my delivery of formal and informal training has prepared me well to serve this agency as its next captain, and I am very eager to do so. See the impact? I have known candidates to end their oral board by just saying no to that question. That's right, the last word the panel heard from the candidate was negative, and that is what gets remembered. Hopefully, you now realize that there is a better way. In future modules, you will learn the steps that were used to build the 3 responses that you just observed, as well as all of the strategies mentioned at the beginning of this module. Beyond answer strategies that you cannot get anywhere else, you will also be exposed to the Learn, See, Do model of skill development. How does this work? The learning for you will come from the lessons that I will teach you in the remaining modules. The C will come from the dozens of answer demonstration videos that are used to illustrate the application of what you are learning. And the Do comes from the ample questions that I ask of you via video to create the experience for you of answering verbal questions at an oral board or interview. For those of you who will be participating in an assessment center, I will explain how you can use my performance counseling and critical incident models for your role play exercises. You know that being your best requires practice. With this program's 24/7 access, you can learn and practice at the times that are best for you. I have been fortunate to have had the experience of being at the top of each of my promotional lists, and I will tell you, it was a great feeling. Oral Boards Made Easy for Police Promotion was created so that more law enforcement professionals could replicate my successes. If this is what you are seeking, isn't it worth investing in yourself by continuing on to Module 2? I wish you much success in your promotion pursuit. One of the most common mistakes candidates make when preparing for an assessment center is assuming a standard opening statement will be enough. In reality, many assessment centers, especially at the supervisory and command level, require a detailed background presentation that runs anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes. That might sound intimidating, but here's the good news. The core structure of your opening statement, which I will cover for you in depth in a later module, doesn't need to be reinvented. What it does need is substance. Real, compelling details drawn from your actual experience that demonstrate your readiness for the next level. The candidates who struggle in this moment are the ones who tried to build that narrative the night before. The ones who stand out built it weeks in advance. And that's exactly what I will help you do. I also want to prepare you for something you might not expect. For example, what if you never get an opening statement at all? Some panels skip it entirely and go straight to a closing. asking you to summarize why you're the right candidate before you walk out the door. That closing needs to do the heavy lifting your opening never got to do. I'll show you how to adapt your messaging so that whether you're speaking first or last, you leave a strong, lasting impression on your assessors. When it comes to situational questions, particularly the oral exercise components that are a centerpiece of most assessment centers, the difference between a good answer and a great answer often comes down to one thing: specificity. What assessors are looking for is a candidate who can demonstrate a clear, practiced understanding of the actual resources available to them, from personnel and equipment to community partnerships and department protocols. Now is the time to start taking inventory of the potential resources you may engage in a variety of situations so you can respond with the kind of depth and precision that signals true leadership readiness. If you're enrolled in the Gold or Platinum Access tier, you'll find that a resource list has already been built out for you, a significant advantage you can put to work immediately. Finally, this updated program includes an expanded section on topic knowledge questions, those questions that don't fit neatly into a situational or behavioral category, but test whether you're genuinely engaged with the profession. Policing is not a static field. The landscape of supervision, community expectations, use of force policy, mental health response, and organizational leadership continues to shift, and assessors know it. When a panel asks you about a contemporary issue, they're not just testing what you know, they're gauging whether you think like someone ready to lead. The topic resources built into this course have been carefully updated to reflect where the profession is right now, giving you the knowledge base to speak with confidence, credibility, and authority when it matters most. Ready to continue on with Oral Boards Made Easy Plus? The Silver package is excellent if you will be competing at a traditional oral board that is coming up quickly. The Gold package provides you a longer time to prepare and has additional materials for oral boards and assessment centers. And the Platinum package provides you with even more materials and an extended time frame to help you be your best at either an assessment center or an oral board. You are unique, which is why these options exist. You also know how important it is to you to get promoted this time around. With that in mind, choose a package that you believe will help you be the confident competitor you need to be to succeed at your promotion process. Just return to the website and select the Oral Boards Made Easy Plus package that is best for you.